Most days on the homestead start out about the same for me in the kitchen. I'm baking something. Today it's my same day sourdough bread recipe, and I'm going to be canning some tomatoes. So grab a cup of tea or coffee and let's have a little visit today because I want to talk about something that's been on my mind. I'm going to be making up some fire cider. We keep this on hand. It's really good if you're having allergies or something, and it really, not that there's like a particular recipe, but generally it's going to have ginger root, jalapeno peppers, onions, fresh garlic, some herbs, things like that, and you soak all of that in apple cider vinegar. You need to use the one with the mother, and I buy the organic apple cider vinegar with the mother and soak it for at least 30 days. The longer the better, because you want it to have all of those health benefits. It's really full of like anti-inflammatory things. So as I'm making this, I want to talk about something. As summer is drawing to an end, I was reflecting the other day about how this summer definitely didn't go exactly how we thought it was going to go. And even though we had some misfortune, it has been the best summer so far that we've ever had because we've been together and we have just enjoyed working alongside each other on the homestead. But along those lines, I want to talk about learning how to let go when something has bothered you. So you all know that we lost our channel in July, and I'm not going to lie, it took me a long time to get to where I just didn't think about it as much. And so I think for me, and this may not be for everybody, but for me, it is important that I get to a point where I just let it go and kind of just settle in my mind that that's just the way it is. And that's hard to do. And one of the ways that I do that is to stay really busy and work on things that are in my control. And so I'm going to tell you what I'm doing right now before we get more on that subject. I am making a sourdough pie crust. This is brand new over on the blog. I'm going to link it down in the description box below. And it is so easy to make. It is just flour, salt, and sourdough starter. And you may have to add 1 to 2, maybe up to 3 or 4, depending on, how humid your house is of the ice water. But it's really simple. You just put the flour and the salt in a food processor. And, I forgot the olive oil. The recipe is in the description box. I forgot. But you're going to put olive oil in here. You can use melted butter as well. And you just pulse it until you get like coarse crumbs, and you want it to kind of resemble when you're making like biscuits and you're cutting in the butter or the olive oil and you get those coarse crumbs. It's the same thing. So just kind of pulse it until you get those crumbs, and then add the sourdough starter, and then keep pulsing it. If it's not quite coming together, add a tablespoon at a time of ice water until it comes together. But those are the coarse crumbs I was talking about. You can see how the flour is now has the olive oil incorporated. And now what I'm going to do is add my sourdough starter. Sorry for the camera. I meant to get that out. Add the sourdough starter and just pulse it until it comes together. And you want it to be able to be held together in your hand, but not too dry. Of course, not too wet either. Pie crust is not my forte, and you'll find out in a minute. I'm going to show you. But you just want it to come together. So I'm going to put it over here, and I'm going to shape it into a ball of dough. Now this is where the long fermentation comes in. I'm going to shape this into a long ball of dough, and then I'm going to put it in plastic wrap and just put it in the fridge. You can leave it in there for as little as 2 to 3 hours, up to a week if you want to. And what I'm going to be making with ours is a quiche later on, later on today. So I'm putting it in the fridge, and this is early in the morning, and it will be ready for dinner several hours later. So I'm going to be making a quiche while I'm cutting up my vegetables. I want to keep talking about letting go. So a lot of people may look at this as I'm giving up, but I don't really look at it that way. I look at it more of moving on, because sometimes if you let something that happened that's really out of your control at that point, if you let it kind of stick in the forefront of your mind, you miss a lot of what you could be doing right now. And you lose focus and motivation. And I definitely went through that. And so what I'm learning through this is, if it's something that I can't really control, and I've done everything that I can do, I let it go. And in my mind, and this is going to sound crazy, but everybody's mental way of doing things is different. Mine is to say, okay, I'm not getting that channel back, and I'm moving on. That helps me. And I know that sounds like giving up, and it's not. If they deny me, I will appeal again. And I have reached out to somebody who's trying to help me. I mean, I have done things, but there was a point where I was like, okay, I have to stop. I can't do this. I'm done. And so I just wanted to talk about that, because sometimes we can let things just really take over in our minds, and we miss what's happening right now. And so I made a decision a few days ago that I'm not going to let that happen anymore. I'm just going to enjoy what I do have. So let's talk about this pie crust. I have never successfully rolled out a pie crust. I don't even own a pie plate. So I just press mine in to a 10-inch cast iron skillet. I know I have a channel about baking and cooking, but I can't do it. So this works for me. For my quiche, I just put some shredded cheese down on that pie crust that I have pressed into the cast iron skillet. And by the way, if you all have any tips for me for rolling out a pie crust, I would love that, because I have no idea what I'm doing wrong. I am so confused. It just doesn't work for me. But I will tell you, this pie crust was insane. It was so delicious. My husband said, be sure and tell them that you ate one piece of this quiche and I ate the rest of it, because it was so delicious. That pie crust is flaky. It is flavorful from the sourdough starter, and just absolutely delicious. So I put my cheese down, my sauteed veggies, and then I did 5 or 6 eggs. I can't remember. Added some salt and pepper and a little bit of milk. And then I whisked that up and pour it over the cheese and the veggies. I put it in the oven at 375. It took around 35 minutes. Now, everybody's oven may be different, but the crust came out so good. And we ate and ate and ate on that. So it was a hit. We have decided this is a weekly meal that we will be having now. A sourdough pie crust with a quiche. So good. Now, this pie crust will work for pies as well, but for us, it was one of the best meals that we've had in a long time. It's perfect for summer too, because all these veggies came out of our garden. The eggs came from our backyard, and it just makes you feel good to have meals like that. All right, well, I'm going to let this bake, and that's how it looked before it went in the oven. Oh my goodness. And here it is coming out so good. I'm going to show you the pie crust. I'm going to pick it up, but wow, this is so good. I'm actually going to write a blog post about this quiche next, because it was so good. Look at that pie crust. Oh, it was so good. All right, well, I'm going to end the video by showing you that same day sourdough bread that I made after it was baked, and a little blog post that I'm doing on freezing sourdough starter. It is up as we speak. So if you go over to therosehomestead.com and type in freeze sourdough starter, it'll be right there, and I'll leave it in the description box below as well. Thank you all for listening to me ramble today and joining me in my kitchen. I hope y'all are doing well. God bless, and we'll see you on the next video.